Morning. Sorry, I apologize for being a little bit late today. I was doing a broadcast with IU this morning. So every Tuesday morning or every other Tuesday morning, I do a broadcast with them. Snacks, good morning, brother. Turtle, nice to have you guys. Scottish, how are you? Frenchie. Yeah, this Tesla over 291. I think looks pretty interesting, but ideally we get a rest. I thought that was coming yesterday. I really was like, okay, would be nice if we can get a friggin' rest. And we were getting it for the first 3 hours. Then you get this V-shaped recovery, in things like Palantir and Tesla and everything else in the market. Effectively everything got a V-shaped recovery yesterday. MC, good morning. Yeah, that whole I think that's like the Lutnick's back or something like that, or that, something to do with Bitcoin and Lutnick and CEP, and I saw that. I can't personally trade that myself, but there's no real swing trade there. This thing just won't stop. I've been watching this SFM from like way down here in the 150s, but it just won't stop. Just continues to grind higher. I mean, it's about to come off my list. Spotify, not the best earnings reaction. So this one also, I mean, I'll keep an eye on it, but it's going to be coming off my list. So I was hoping this thing would get going, but like an all-time high break. We'll see how it responds, to the open. But I definitely don't buy dips and negative earnings reactions. That's how you end up in a situation like DEC. You get a negative earnings reaction, even though the chart might be near all-time highs, and then you get a gap down. It's just better to leave it alone, because that's what can happen. And that's brutal. Yeah, I like AM. I like Zscaler. I would just like it to pause here. I mean, I was hoping that it wouldn't go yesterday. I had it on the watch list, and it's hard because yes, it came right up to the neckline, but I'm really supposed to buy it, on effectively while it's up, 5 days in a row, and buy it on day 6, up 15, 16, 17%. It's like, I don't think so. And, yesterday, had you bought it, if you would have bought it in the morning, you would have gotten stopped out under low of day. Then you would have had to have bought a dip, only for it to really, it wasn't that strong of a close. So, that's not helpful. A little bit of digestion here, a little bit of pullback, I think would be awesome. Just a little bit of pullback would be awesome, and digestion, and then gain a little bit more power, and then come back through this 217 area would be sweet. Yeah, that would be nice. I like this LNTH setup. Super tight, series of higher lows, super tight against its moving averages, but it's just in a weak group. So it's like a catch-22 with this damn thing. So how do I find the strongest groups? Yeah, Market Surge is a good one. I like Deep View too. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, month end. Window dressing. Yeah, some window dressing going on. I also like this SE, but again, straight off the bottom, needs a little bit of tightening. Been talking about this one for like a week or so. Just need to see it get over the 50. It did that. Now it's got to give me something. It's got to give me some kind of entry tactic. I like LKNCY. What's my thoughts on LKNCY? Is this a Chinese Luckin coffee or whatever? I remember I traded this one at $14 or something way back here. Was this right? $14 or a little bit higher, I guess. Was it here? Yeah, it was like right here. I won't forget it. Yeah, I mean, God, Luckin coffee. I don't know, man. I wouldn't trade this. This shit's sloppy. And what is this? I'm not sure. I think this is just a coffee, if I'm not mistaken. No thoughts on it. No thoughts on it. It's Chinese, dude. It's China. They gap so much in either direction. So like any morning, you could be given a surprise that you don't like. That's the best way to put it. If I'm going to trade anything Chinese equity related, it's going to be BABA or it's going to be TME. And even this, Jesus, it's very sloppy. But it is above all key moving averages, but damn, that's sloppy. I also do like XPEV. But again, just look at how gappy this chart is. I mean, just look at this. 1 gap, 2 gap, 3 gap, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 gaps in like the matter of, I don't even know how long, since like right here. I mean, that's like not even a month. That's like a month. So every other day it gaps. And then today, surprise, surprise, it closed at 1993 and opening up at 1903. So like, I just don't want to trade these gappy friggin' names. It's like, because sometimes you're going to get a gap in the direction you did not want. And I don't want any part of that. By the way, for what it's worth, I tried this one twice in the 13s and 14s, and I got gapped down on twice. So if I'm not mistaken. So I think I tried this like right in here in October and then, closed well, closed, bad. I don't know that was the day I got gapped on. I also think I bought it coming out of this little consolidation. I think I caught this like perfectly like right in here, closed well, got gapped down on. So I tried this twice in this consolidation. So I was like, this thing's holding up really well. It's starting to just go sideways. All right. And I tried it twice and it just didn't work. And I literally got gapped down on twice. And I was like, all right, I'm going to leave this thing alone. And of course, once I say that and once I actually leave the thing alone, it doubles. Yeah, no, I just got to leave it alone. Yeah. Geo, I'm sick and tired of watching this thing. I've had a 30-70 spot that I'm watching on Geo for quite a while. I've been wanting it to take out 328's high as kind of a little flat base breakout. I tried doing that on Friday. Didn't really push out. I tried doing that yesterday. Came right back. So it's getting annoying. And for that reason, I do like these aerospace and defense names. So KTOS looks pretty good. DRS looks pretty good. Yeah, they look pretty dang good, to be honest with you. Those look good. There was one that I mentioned on stream, LOAR. I mean, this one, again, aerospace and defense sector, recent IPO, but new 52-week highs. Again, just straight off the bottom, not something that I could trade at all. But if this thing goes sideways here for a little bit and just builds, and this is your cup, and then you build a handle, and then you take out, that $100 level effectively, you just take out this, what would be like almost like a flat base, that would look pretty good. That could look interesting. Yeah, KTOS's earnings are far out enough that, let's just say it triggers today. You would have 6 trading days. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trading days to gain some cushion on it. So, in the ideal scenario, I'd be looking for like a 3 to 5 day momentum burst. So let's just say it takes off over 34 and you pick some up at 34 as it's pushing higher. You get some trims off at 36 and a half or something like that. And then you just hold on to half into earnings. Worst case scenario, it ends up being a flat trade. It would have to gap down quite a bit for you to get hit on something like that. But, this thing's been in a steady uptrend in a strong group. So, again, it's not perfect, but what really is in this market? Roblox. Rocket Lab is also a aerospace and defense name. Yeah, Roblox looks pretty good. Again, it's up 30% in 3 trading weeks. That's nice, but where's the tightness now, right? This is just a steady channel with no real consolidation, no real sideways, no real current pivot. I could see like a little shelf being formed here, and I guess that would be pretty nice if you could, if this thing will just go sideways. What's going on here? A little flat base, a double bottom effectively, as some people would say. So this is kind of like a little double bottom on the weekly, right? So that's good. There's your double bottom on the weekly. It came and found support on the rising 200. That's been rising now for a little bit. So that's good to see. It's got a little shelf, but maybe it can just tighten up a little bit, under this area, something like, move this chart over, something like if it did, something like this would be good. And then built another little higher low. Right. And then started to bust through this, this pivot. So if you can kind of imagine what that would look like for Roblox, that would be awesome. Then the 50, the 20, the 10, everything would get super, super, super tight underneath it. It would kind of digest some of these gains. It's 30% move, tighten up. Again, if this thing just keeps going in a straight line, then it would just have to go without me. That's not something that, I could see myself getting into, but just kind of envision that that's what I would want it to look like. You don't have to envision it like that at all, but all right, let me adjust this back. Somebody asked, Snacks, you asked me what I think about Rocket Lab. Yeah, I like that Rocket Lab found support against the rising 200. I don't see a pivot, like an area that almost keeps getting rejected. That's like a flat base. I do like that it held above the 50. 50 still downtrending, so there's a little issue there, but that's really about the only negative I see here, other than a little bit of overhead. Right, everybody who bought this area here is effectively red up here. So, it does have to kind of, straighten itself back out, go sideways for just a little bit. I don't know how much supply this thing has, but, did find support on the rising 200, does have some higher lows, but where's the exact pivot? I'm not sure. I guess, right in here was something halfway decent. Let's take a peek at these. KRMN, too thin recent IPO. $35 million a day. I could move that stock. Rollins. Yeah, this has been in a steady uptrend. Only issue here is it's a little damn slow, but yeah. I mean, it's got to get going though, like today. If this thing can't get moving today with how tight this thing is, then yeah, but it's got to get going. So ROL would have to move today. Yeah, KRMN, aerospace name, another one. What do I think of AMD? It's the biggest laggard in the entire group. That's what I think about AMD. Next to like AEHR or something like that. I don't buy names so that they can play catch up. I want to be in the leaders of the market. LTH, I go to their gym. Well, at least I try to. Yeah, this looks pretty good. This looks pretty damn good. Over today's highs, over this little pivot, really. Over 3230s or 3225s, basically. Looks pretty good. Be a nice downtrend line break, nice move up. What correction during the market correction? Didn't even get down to its 200. That looks good. Yeah, so this is a great question with gold. And I do believe that if you're going to buy them, that they're best to be bought off of ascending moving averages, right? What did this thing, like something like AU, what did it do yesterday? It came right into the 20, nice up day, right? We'll see how gold acts. Probably my favorite one is AEM. We need to get over 120. But yeah, these things could easily be finding support at the rising 20. Again, gold to me doesn't look dead. I mean, it's just consolidating. Yes, it had a really big sustained move, but I was watching gold and mentioning it to everybody in the room, down here, literally on 4.7, 4.8, 4.9, 4.10. We left it alone on 4.11, if I'm not mistaken. So, because you already had plenty of time to get into it if you weren't paying attention to it, like right down here against the 50, and as it was coming back through all moving averages. So, and then gold had a really, really nice move and then humongous volume, on kind of this nasty reversal bar, but hasn't done anything wrong. I'm not sure if this is building out a bear flag because of those highs, or if this is just still surfing the ascending moving averages, which, by the way, it's been in an uptrend. So, and it's had fairly nasty periods too. Or, we can't act like this wasn't distribution and then this nasty candle down wasn't distribution. And if you saw this, you wouldn't have gotten negative. And guess what? It just consolidated and then went higher. So I'm not sure. But, the gold miners still act pretty well. So I think it'd be good to just kind of keep your eyes on the gold miners. And if they continue to act well, you might have your answers. How do I look to enter Uber? Well, I own Uber already, and I bought it as it reclaimed the 50-day moving average. So I was already looking at this neckline, but I was playing it when this thing came down right into the 50-day. Right on this day down here. The next day, I took it as it was reclaiming the 50-day. So I have a 75.32. So I'm in right here, basically. Draw the little line. But yeah, I was mentally, I was looking to risk off of low and buy it when it was reclaiming the 50-day. So, we'll see. We'll see if it ends up going from there. Obviously, I could have ping that entry a little bit better, but the thesis was fine. Just make sure you size it right. And hasn't really been doing anything wrong since I bought it. So, we'll see what it does today. I'm hoping the market goes down some. I'd like to see the market digest some of these last 4 days of moves, personally. So we'll see. Yeah, any advice on trimming positions once you get to a 10% gain? It depends what stock you own, right? If it's a 3% per day mover, you might be in a day 3 to 5. If you've got a stock that moves like SMCI, that could just be 1 day. But, if you get like 10 to 15% in a day, there's nothing wrong with like selling 20% of your shares, right? Treat it like a business, get paid, improve your worst case scenario. And if you get a stock that moves, or if you don't want to trim and you want to hold, at the very least, your stop should not be low of day anymore or prior low of day. Your stop should be like your average at the very least, right? So like it's just a flat trade. Steve-O, good morning, brother. What's my thoughts on NN? It's too thin. History of making a huge move, but too thin. Trades $14 million a day. You don't want to be in stocks that one person can move, and I can move this stock by myself. Yeah, I saw the him squeeze, but there was no setup yesterday. I know guys who caught this move, and they were in yesterday, and there was no setup yesterday. So, if you were in it overnight with there being no setup, and then you caught today's move, then you just got lucky. But I like the news. The news is pretty good. We'll see if this thing can kind of hang out underneath like a little horizontal pivot here for a little while. And if it does, kind of build underneath that level, that would be cool. Back over the 50, back over 40, that'd be cool. But Walmart, it's too slow. 2.34% mover. I mean, it's just too slow. That's the real issue. It'll move with Costco. Again, another one, just too slow. Thoughts on ASTS? To me, they remind me a lot of the crowd from ASTS reminds me a lot of those people from AMC. I've got a $100 bet with somebody on X this year that they said it would go to $60. So, and I made the bet with them when it was at 30. I don't think it goes to 60. In fact, I don't even like this setup. I mean, does it go on to work? Who the hell knows, but yeah, it's below the 200 now. That's not too great. It needs to get back up above the 200, needs to get back above the 50, needs to give you, maybe you manage risk because it's going back through the 50. I don't know, but I don't really see it. At least not yet. Hertz, momentum, high volume close. Yeah, but it's a Bill Ackman name. This dude, he's just a pumper. What happens when he stops pumping it? He pumped Fannie Mae, and Fannie Mae went up, and then now it's just been going sideways for forever. That could be Hertz. Yeah, KRMN. Yeah, somebody mentioned them. They're in the aerospace and defense group. So is Rocket Lab. So is KTOS. So is DRS. So is LOAR. A bunch of these names in the aerospace and defense sector are acting a whole lot better. I mean, in the past 1 month, they're in the top 40 groups. So that's kind of what you want to be focusing on. Top 40 groups. I also like this TGTX. Just needs to go sideways for a little bit. Okta looking strong. Let's see. Let's take a peek. Yeah, double bottom. Back through all key moving averages. Think anything's wrong with it. It just gapped up in a weak market, in March, and then obviously market took everything down. So, yeah, I use ETFs. Yeah, I look through my ETFs every night. every single night. Not sure what the news here was on any of these mega caps, but I'm kind of watching Google gap down, Nvidia gap down, Amazon gap down quite a bit. Not sure what's going on here, but we broke yesterday's lows, so wouldn't use the word ideal, but a little bit of a break is good for these names. Besson is talking. The hell did Besson say? Why? It's like Besson, Lutnick, or Trump. These dudes don't know how to keep quiet. Oh man, what is this? What happened? Amazon showing tariffs on each product is a hostile and political act. Oh. No, they didn't. I can't believe they're doing that. USAR, a little thin. And here's my thinking. Healthy stocks don't go from 20 to 6 in 6 days, right? And then they don't go from 6 back to 18 in 2 weeks. And then they don't go from 18 back to 9 in 4 days, right? That's just not what you want to be in. Is that what's going on? Besson's talking. Yeah, I mean, the whole Amazon down ticking, that was the name that's kind of, showing a bit more ugly than the rest. Individual investors trust Trump? No, they don't. No, they don't. That's a fucking bold-faced lie. I didn't like Kamala, but I trust her more. At least I know she might stay quiet. Oh my goodness. What do you mean individual investors trust Trump more? What? You got to be out of your mind. This dude's liable to say anything off the cuff at any moment and say, pull out the whiteboard like, oh, 145% tariffs for China. Like, just pull out the whiteboard at any second and totally screw whatever stock you might be in. It's like, okay, with Biden, he wasn't just going to say anything. I mean, they didn't want him to speak. So the market was just in a steady little uptrend for forever. You were a swing trader. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, this action's not that bad because it's going to give us a really nice opportunity to see what names are showing relative strength, what names are showing relative weakness. This gap down, do we, like yesterday, just, pull a V-shaped recovery? I personally hope we don't. I think the market needs a little breather, a day or two. That's kind of my thinking. And I don't want to go just plowing into a bunch of fresh longs here, having been thinking that. So I'll just kind of be patient for the open, let things settle, for a few hours. I do have a pretty good watch list put together, so we'll see what triggers, what doesn't. But, for me, I think it's just going to be patience here. I have 4 longs that are working really nicely. Palantir from just under 100, Uber from 75s, Netflix from 1,019, and CrowdStrike from just above 400. So, for me, it's just going to be a matter of letting those work and seeing what else sets up, seeing if I can't start to continue to dip my feet into the water. On the flip side of that, I have gotten stopped out of 2 shorts recently, NOW and AVGO. And, maybe, just maybe, if the market stays heavy, I might add a little short today. But I don't really have any great setups at the moment. I mean, I do, but, we'll see. But Black Cat, add you on where, brother? I have no idea where you're asking me to add you. But guys, it is 8:20. I will see you guys in the room. Much love. And I will see you guys tomorrow, regular hour, 7:30 Central Time, 8:30 Eastern. So thank you guys for showing up, and I will see you guys tomorrow.